Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here. Hope everyone's doing well out there. I'm doing a little bit of work on the Paul Reed Smith SE Custom, and I didn't really record, other than swapping out the tuners with the Godos. I really didn't do anything as far as videoing on this. It's kind of like one of those things you guys seen a lot of my videos as far as doing repairs and or setup on a guitar. It's basically, rinse and repeat, same thing, different guitar. But couple things that I found out with this thing that might indicate the reason why the seller sold it, did not put a reserve on his bid, and got rid of it so cheaply. Now, I stole this from the seller. I mean, I actually feel bad because of how less I paid for this thing, considering what they go for used in pristine condition. This thing doesn't have a mark on it, not a scratch, dent, ding, chip, anything. But there was a kind of like a mechanical issue with it, okay, so to say. Now, a lot of times when I straighten out a guitar neck, depending on the strings that I'm going to put on the guitar, the gauge of them, if I straighten out the neck, by the time I get the strings on the guitar, tune it up, stretch out the strings, tune it up again, let the neck sit overnight with the tension from the strings on it, it pulls me right into this, what I call a sweet spot, as far as the relief goes. Now, I like to see anywhere between a 10 to 12 thousandths relief in a guitar neck. And on this one here, it basically put the neck right where I want it without having to do like barely any adjustment on the neck. But I found some other things that were kind of a little weird with it as far as the way things were set up on this thing. Now, the neck portion was fine and no problems with that. I did notice that very, very, very low action at the first fret. I mean, it's really, really low. This is a 12 thousandths feeler gauge, and I'm rubbing the string 12 thousandths. So you can kind of hear it. It's really low. I mean, that's kind of too low. But the way I have the guitar set up right now, I'm not getting any buzz at the first fret. Looking at the nut on this thing before I put the strings on it and trying to figure out if I'm going to have to do any work with the nut or not. The nut's a virgin. Okay, that kind of didn't sound too good, but in any case, nobody worked on the nut on this guitar. You could tell because you would see tool marks or something inside of the slot where the string is supposed to sit, and there is nothing. So either the factory ground off the bottom of the nut in order to get the action height this low at the first fret, and then set the rest of the guitar around that. So action height's is really low at the first fret. Neck relief is at 12 thousandths. The trem, all right. I noticed that the trem was, one side of the tremolo was sitting up higher on the higher side than it was on the lower side. And then the 4 screws here were kind of, they were kind of up a little bit. And the saddle for the high E, the B, and the G strings were kind of really low. Not as low as the high E string was. The high E string saddle almost looked like it was sitting on the trem plate itself. It didn't look like there was much of a gap underneath it at all. So I thought that was kind of weird. So I ended up hunting down a little bit online. Okay, what is the trem height off the body supposed to be on a Paul Reed Smith SE guitar? So I found out it's supposed to be a 16th front and back. All right, so it's a 16th of an inch front and back on both sides of the trem. All right, well, this side was very, very high. It was, what was it? It was like 2/16 up, almost 2/16. And I ended up dropping it down, checking this side out. This side was fine. This side was right where it's supposed to be. And I didn't do anything with the springs on the back of the trem at all, because it's sitting where it's supposed to be sitting here. It's just this side was up too high. Screwing these 4 in that are on the center, not down to where it's going to change or pull the trim into the body at all. Just kind of like snugged it up to where they're just touching. So now I had some adjustment for the action height. So I set the high E at a 16th, and I set the low E at 5/64. And that pulled me off. It pulled me right off the saddle, off the bridge plate or the trim plate. And I had some room to go down on this side. I still have some room to go down on each side, but they're not sitting on top of the trim plate. After that, I wanted to get the action height for the rest of the strings. Now the radius of this neck is a 10. So I got my 10-inch radius gauge here, and I lowered the rest of the saddles down to where basically everything was almost straight, almost even. And I did have to check to see if these saddles were tilted back and forth. Some of them were. They weren't bad, but you could just see it's there. Took the radius gauge, laid it before the bridge on top of the strings. Don't want it to be on the bridge because it's basically going to be touching on each side. You're not going to get a good reading. So what I do is set my outside strings to the action height that I want them to be, and then follow the radius with the other strings. So with them being turned downwards, I'll pluck the string, kind of muted. Now I'm not putting any pressure down on top of this thing. So with the other strings down further, I'll just keep on turning the evenly on both sides of the saddle up to bring the saddle upwards to where I start getting that on each string. That's giving me the radius of the neck and setting the action height at the same time. So after I got everything set up, retuned the guitar again, started playing around, and it was like, man, I'm really surprised that I'm not getting any fret buzz at that first fret on this thing. And there is a such thing as a little bit of buzz is okay. Too much buzz is pretty bad. So this has a very, 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 very minute buzzing to it. Not much at all. Where's my pick? So if I go ahead and just do a power chord over here. So that's it. That's all the buzzing that's going to come out of this thing, where I have the strings set to. And even looks like the action height is really low on here, but it's at 5/64 on the low side and a 16th on the high side. So yeah, if you ever come across something like that with a bridge, make sure you measure out each side of the bridge, all 4 corners of it, to make sure that it's kind of level with the body. And this is still a free-floating bridge, so I can go. It's still a free-floating bridge. I did not block it or anything, but now it's set to what I found the specs are supposed to be as far as this thing goes. So now it's pretty much, all I have to do is set the intonation on this thing and do the pickup height, and I can put the truss rod cover, and it's basically done. And I can start playing around with it. So I'm going to go ahead and start that up right now. All right, so the PRS is done. Everything is set up on it, and I'll be doing a video of it soon, playing it. But right now, got a little bit of an unboxing to do and unbagging. Some of the stuff I ordered to get the other room the way I want it has showed up. So first off, we have a bag. Make sure I don't cut into what's inside of the bag. All right. So what we have here is going to link the TV to the computer, or actually the computer to the TV. Now what this is here, it's a VGA to HDMI with audio. This is the audio cable for this. Now I'm not going to use the audio. I really don't need it, but I do need these two plugs here. Now this wire right here jumps from behind the VGA wire to USB. And the reason why it jumps to USB is because it needs to create power in order for the HDMI to work correctly. I guess it's got to power up the chip for the video in order for it to work right. And this also comes with some RCA to, which I'm not going to use this. I don't need that. And instructions of what to do and how to do it. A couple of cards from the company that I ended up ordering from. And yeah, so next time I order, I'll probably get 20% discount. Cool. So this is what's going to help me link up the computer to the TV. I still am waiting for the wireless headphone setup, transmitter and receiver, non-Bluetooth, and the keyboard. I have a keyboard, but it's a little bit too big. So this is a 50-foot cable, and I'm probably going to need every bit of that 50 feet. Unboxing number 2. Some of the artwork that I ordered for the wall in my little area showed up today as well. If I can get this thing out. Alright, so we have another Iron Maiden. Yeah, I know. I like Iron Maiden. Put that off to the side. Oh, I got 2 somewhere in time. That I was not expecting to get 2 of these. I only ordered 1. This is the original one I ordered. Number of the Beast. They sent me 2 of them. Unreal. I only ordered 1. That is fucking kick ass. I swear to God, I only ordered 1 of these. How I ended up with 2. Well, I gotta give that guy some, is there any other paperwork in here? No. These are the certificates of authentic. I can't even speak right now. Holy shit. Well, I've bought quite a few of these from this seller and passed them out as Christmas gifts to other people. So he threw in an extra one. This is the one I bought. This is the one I did not buy, but I'll take it. I like this album too. Holy shit. All right, you guys, rock on, man. Rock on.